Welcome to The Explainer. So you've probably heard all this talk about an Airbnb bust, right? Well, forget those headlines for a second. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and show you who is really winning in the vacation rental game, and more importantly, how they're quietly changing the way we all travel.
I mean, you can't miss it, right? The headlines are everywhere, screaming about an Airbnb bust. And it's got a lot of folks asking the big question, is the short-term rental gold rush finally over? Did we all miss the boat?
Well, not so fast. The latest data from AirDNA's Big Investor Survey paints a completely different picture. It's not a story about collapse at all. Nope. It's a story about a market that's maturing. You could even say it's finally growing up. Okay, so let's dig into this, because the real story here isn't if people are investing, it's who. And believe me, that's where it all starts to get really, really interesting.
So if you just look at the whole market, yeah, it looks like a total toss-up. You've got investors completely split on whether now is the time to buy. The numbers are kind of all over the place, which just screams uncertainty, right?
But, and this is the kicker, when you start slicing up that data by how many properties someone owns, whoa, a super clear pattern just jumps right out. The more properties you already have, the more likely you are to be buying right now. The pros, they're not just staying in the game, they're doubling down.
So what does this tell us? We're seeing this massive split. The first-timers, they're hitting the brakes, and you can't really blame them. But the professionals, the people with the experience, the systems, the data, they are confidently snapping up more properties. The amateurs are getting nervous, and the pros are getting busy.
Okay, so this gap in confidence, it leads to two totally different playbooks for how to invest. Let's take a look at how the pros are playing a completely different game.
You know, if you're a first-time buyer, your biggest fear is probably the sticker shock, just the raw price of the property. But for a seasoned operator, that's not the main thing. They're focused on the bigger puzzle, managing all the complexities that come with scale, like tricky local regulations and figuring out where travel demand is headed next.
And this right here, this just perfectly shows you the two different mindsets. Everyone's looking at the exact same economy, the same news, the same data, but they come to completely opposite conclusions. It really is the classic glass half empty versus glass half full situation. One group sees risk, and the other sees a durable trend in how people want to travel. It's not just their mindset either. Their whole approach to financing gets way more advanced. Look, beginners, they stick with what they know, right? A standard 30-year mortgage. But once an investor gets to 10 or more properties, boom, their use of those plummets. They've moved on to a whole toolkit of more professional, flexible financing that lets them move faster and smarter. And this strategic split isn't just about how they invest, it also completely changes where they choose to buy. So, newer investors, they usually start close to home, in urban markets that feel familiar and safe. But as they get more experienced, you see this massive shift. The real pros, they're hunting for those unique, experience-driven destinations. Think coastal towns, mountain retreats, places where they can build a real brand and, let's be honest, charge more for it.
What you're seeing is the evolution of an investor. The journey goes from buying what's easy or familiar to strategically building a real, defensible business in markets that have a unique edge. It's a total shift from convenience to competitive advantage.
So, what does this all add up to? What does this new professional face of investment mean for the future of the market?
Okay, so the big takeaway is this. The market is maturing, big time. First, you've got consolidation, where the experienced players are leading the charge. Second, it's all about discipline now. Strategy is winning out over just jumping on a hot deal. And third, the whole game is professionalizing, from how properties are run to how they're financed. The Wild West days might be winding down, but a new, smarter era is just getting started. And that leaves us with one last big question to chew on. This whole professional takeover, it's not just about who owns the real estate. It's about the future of travel for all of us. As these pros build out their portfolios in these really cool, unique spots, how is that going to change the way we travel, the experiences we can find, and what we expect when we get there?